Hi fellow yogis, today I want to take you through some of my favorite restorative yoga poses using the Gayo Yoga Bolster. This is my favorite bolster as it's firm and perfect for yoga poses, yet soft on my skin since it's made of all natural fibers made with 100% organic cotton. A yoga bolster is a wonderful prop that helps soften up your posture and add extra support for your restorative yoga practice. Let's get started. Our first exercise will be a reclining twist. You're going to lie on your back with the arms out to your side, palms down. Then hug one knee in toward your chest with one hand, and then you're going to lower that knee across midline toward the opposite side of your body, down toward the bolster. If you didn't have the bolster, you'd have to go even farther. So having the bolster gives us a little bit of support here, so you can rest that leg on the bolster there and not have to go quite as far, okay? So if you are lacking mobility through the hips or the spine, this is a great way to help you just ease into the spinal twist stretch. So for this exercise, once you get into that pose, you're just gonna hold it here. I want to make sure that you have the shoulders down on the mat. So this shoulder likes to lift up. Let's keep both shoulders down, arms flat on the mat here. You're going to be feeling a lot of twist in your lower back, but you'll also feel a really great stretch in the hip region. This is a great hip opener, stretching through those glutes, outer hip, IT band region. Press down into the bolster with that knee for a little bit of a deeper stretch. And let's go ahead and unwind. Let's move the bolster to the other side and repeat on the other leg. Okay, so just simply move it here. Then hug the other knee in this time with one hand, and then slowly drop it across midline until it rests on top of the bolster again. Arm back out to the side. And just take some nice deep breaths here as you allow those shoulder blades to stay magnetized onto the floor. Pushing this knee down into the bolster, twisting just a little bit farther, getting some rotation in the lumbar spine, getting some abduction in the hip region, stretching those abductors or glutes through there. One more nice deep breath here. Great job. And let's go ahead and unwind and straighten that leg back out, staying in this supine position. Moving on to our supported bridge pose. A bridge is going to be on our backs, but have the arms down at your side with the palms down, right next to those thighs. Then bend your legs up, placing those feet firmly on the ground, about hip distance apart. Shoulders down away from the ears. All right, to go into our bridge, we're going to tilt the hips or the pelvis in as you draw the belly button down toward the spine, and then begin to slowly raise those hips straight up toward the ceiling as you squeeze the glutes to help you lift all the way up till the knees, hips, shoulders are in a straight line. Now, let's get some support from the bolster. I'm going to grab my bolster here. I love the Gayo bolster because it has this little strap on one side, so it's easy to grab onto and move around. We're going to place it right under those glutes, and then just let those glutes rest down in the bolster. Let's take one more deep breath here together. All right, great job. And then slowly lift those hips up an inch or so up so we can move the bolster out of the way. And then roll those hips down, nice and slow, back down to the ground. All right, let's go ahead and move on to a supported fish pose. Now when you carefully sit on up, we're going to take our bolster. We're going to place it behind us, right at that tailbone sacrum region here. Then begin to lie back over the bolster. I love this one. So just lie on back, but as you'll see, my glutes, they're still on the ground. Okay, I'm not lifting them up. And then based on your height, you may have to adjust. So I want your head to be slightly supported on the bolster. So if it's hanging off, you're going to want to scoot forward a little bit. Take a little bit of support there. All right, let's go ahead and straighten up those legs when you feel comfortable going to bring the arms slightly out to the side with the palms up. And this is our fish pose. And so what we're achieving here is we're getting some extension through the spine, through the lumbar spine region there. A little bit of a tilt of the pelvis. So we're working on range of motion for the spine. But then across the front of our body, we're achieving a nice stretch through the abdomen, through the intercostals in that rib region, stretching out the chest muscles, the front of the shoulders. It just feels so good to just lie here and let gravity just push down and let the shoulders just melt down to the sides of that bolster. It's a great stretcher pose for improving posture, just kind of opening up the shoulders here, finishing with a nice deep breath here. Alright, and then we'll go ahead and slowly bend the legs in and sit on up as we move on to our next pose here. We're going to shift around to get into a position like so on the knees and the hands. We're going to do a supported child's pose. So for this one, you want the bolster between the knees, and then you're going to sit back on the feet if you can. Outstretch the arms overhead and allow the chest and forehead to just rest on the bolster here. Now for this child's pose stretch, you want to try and drop the hips down as much as you can. So just go down as far as you can here. And allow the spine to round slightly as we stretch out our entire back musculature. The lats, the rhomboids, the paraspinals. Just stretching out the whole back here. But we have some support from the bolster. So it feels good to just be able to rest here. So we're not going too far into it. Taking some deep breaths. And with this exercise, it's one of my favorite yoga poses because you just kind of get a grounding feeling from it. Just kind of grounds you, brings you back to your home or your home base. Alright, so nice deep breaths here. And then slowly drag those hands back in as you sit all the way up here. And we'll move on to our next pose. And this is a nice place to transition to our reclined hero pose. For this one, we'll stay sitting just like we are, but you want the bolster behind you now, right here, so that it's just touching the sacrum or the back of the spine here. All right, now if you want, you can just kind of move those feet out to the side slightly. And now we're going to extend back over the bolster. So nice and slow, lie on back on top of it. Okay, just like that. And the hands can go on the feet here, or you can drop them out to the side, whatever feels good. And this reclined hero pose is doing a lot of things for us. It's really great for the spine because we're getting some spine extension, so great if you have some low back disc issues. We're also getting a good stretch of the quadriceps or the thigh muscles, in addition to just once again opening up the chest here. Slowly sit back up. All right. And we're going to transition into a sitting position now. Okay, so I'm going to bring the bolster back around in front. We're going to do a supported forward fold. So I'd like you to bring the legs straight out in front of you. Okay. And then the bolster is going to go on top of the thighs like so. From here, flex those feet, keep the knees completely straight. And then we're going to reach the hands toward the toes, but let them just be on the outsides of the bolster and then rest your forehead down. And now if that is even too difficult, we could do the bolster this way, so there's a little more height to it. We could do the same thing, just gliding the hands down the feet until you can rest your forehead on the bolster and just feel a stretch here. So for our forward fold, we're stretching the hamstrings in the back of the legs, and we're stretching the spine as we kind of go into that flexed position. Holding here for a nice stretch. One more deep breath. gonna do it in a kind of split position this time. So I'm gonna turn to face you. But we'll be out with the legs out wide this time for our forward fold. And you'll start sitting up tall. And then same thing, we're gonna just kind of slide those hands out away from us until you can rest the chest and the forehead down on the bolster. And then hold still for a stretch here. All while keeping some flexion in the ankles, the knees completely straight, and then round spine here. And once again, if you want a little bit more support and so you don't have to go quite as deep, you can have the bolster this way and then stretch it out here. Whatever allows you to feel a good stretch to the point where it's comfortable, not too uncomfortable and having to go too deep into it that causes pain. All right, so nice deep breath here. And then slowly roll on up, coming back to a nice tall seated position. We're going to finish today with a reclined waterfall pose. This is a great inversion pose, meaning the legs are up in the air. It's really great for reducing stress, improving your sleep, and also just reducing swelling in the legs. So I'm going to flip around, you're going to find a wall, and you're going to lie down facing the wall, like so, with the legs up on the wall. And scoot your butt in close to the wall if you can. Legs straight here. Okay? All right. And then to get some support from the bolster, you're just going to lift the hips up briefly. Here we go. Place that bolster underneath the hips. Straighten those legs again. And then arms out to your side. And we're just going to hang out here for this waterfall pose. Just kind of picture a waterfall starting from the toes and slowly just dripping down as any swelling or blood that's pooling in the feet can just kind of drain down. Feel those feet get lighter. Feel a nice stretch to the back of the legs and the hamstrings. All right, and then across the pelvis here, we're just relaxing, and then the chest is nice and open, arms out to the side, palms up. All right, and this is a great pose to end your restorative yoga practice with because it's just so relaxing. If you want, you can go into some deep breathing, or you can even go into some meditation here and just clear your mind and just let any negativity, negative thoughts just kind of drain and leave the body. And that is it for today's Gayo Yoga Bolster workout. Thanks for joining me.